No, we had file cabinets and locks for promotion.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You're not really authenticating.
Getting pounded with all these excuses and examples of security incidences.
Almost the case. So I would appreciate your comment on that.
Let me do it. And then let's evaluate.
I'm Jean Reaver, Vice President of MDE Incorporated.
Thank you so much. I wanted to
calls, no emails from
identification business or
do just what we have to do, but not one bit more.
The top 10 best places to live, right? You've seen that kind of stuff, right?
Difference in generations and how we respond to change.
Somebody's got to make it matter.
the quality than I was expecting. And I should appreciate all of you guys for supporting.
Hello, I'd like to welcome everyone to the ICT MKM2021 workshop and conference. Dr. Masavi's been very gracious to put this together for us. I am Sean Key, and I'm here to talk to you about cybersecurity today, and maybe even a few other things. Interesting conversations that were had. Magician inventor disrupts Fleming's public demonstration of Marconi. We've heard that name. That must have been embarrassing. Insulting Morse code messages. I'd like to know what those messages were. I Googled, I couldn't find them. Oh, now we get some cryptologists doing some serious thing, breaking the Enigma machine. Oh, look at the middle. Now we're getting a little more serious. We aren't just teenage boys causing a little bit of havoc. We're hacking punch cards used by the Nazis to locate Jews. Now, I'm not a super expert in World War II. Vichy French army, good guys, right? I think, right? There's a good mentor protege program, and there's good contract vehicles, and quotas mean something. Whether it's woman-owned, African-American-owned, HubZone, whatever, it's got to mean something. And you know what? Those companies shouldn't just get the word because of a set-aside either. We had a lot of problem with Alaska Native years ago. You know, that's not cool. But there's got to be a way to show your capability, and supposedly that's when you give presentations to the government. Your orals, your slides that you send over, capabilities, past performance. Somebody's got to make it matter. And my last thought on this, sorry to be a little long-winded here, but try calling a small business liaison officer at any of these agencies. Nobody calls you back. And if you literally go to some of these small businesses.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bertrand Pelletier. I was born in France, and I've been in the U.S. for 35 years, and in Texas for 30 years. Like they say in Texas, I came as quickly as I could. We have a company here, Sandia International, that's been in this identification business for about 25 years on a piece of paper or on a label like we have here. At the same time, also it can be also virtual, put on your telephone. So our strategy was originally to go to the vaccination place, and after having the people vaccinated, we would just take their picture, generate the code, stick it on their card, and that's it. That was the idea. And being in Texas, as you probably learned, our governor has decided a long time ago that there was not going to be any vaccination card or
the fact that people may have gotten their vaccines at a variety of different places, like in one of the drug trials, or for instance, I got mine in the Caribbean when I was down there. So I have a card from them. I present that to the certification authority, and they verify somehow that that's a real vaccination?
Well, they have to have the reading application. So when we issue the seal,
the themes that are not usually met in a workshop that I've been to before. Actually, I'm coming from Texas just for this workshop.
Great. So you think this 21st century, these practices for these 21st centuries are really this new learning that you're going to make?
I think it's I'm taking some lessons on the topics and the subjects that I'm not really very familiar with. So I'm learning something, and I'm going to try to apply to what I do.
And being in the business, like for so many years and in different countries, do you think this can be applied in all of the countries? And I don't mean in the same way, but do you think we have things in common in every country that we can use so that we can have like keys?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so. I think with a minimum of knowledge of all those different countries, you can address the same subject different ways, but still make it important and worth thinking about.
Will you be willing to assist another of these seminars in the near future?
Certainly, I'll be happy to, especially if you're willing to try to do it in Arlington, Texas.
A lot of work, so I know a little bit about a lot of different things, and one of them is sustainability, something that I'm personally interested in, something that I've learned a little bit about. So we'll talk about that. Sustainability is a nice word, but we're going to go over a little history, talk a bit about what we want to sustain, have some examples from viability of businesses, effectiveness and funding of government agencies, sustainable approach to agriculture, sustainability in the global relationship between energy, environment, and things like that. I'm hoping for some input from you too, and some ideas and some of your own experience.
In the education business, what we see coming is what we refer to as the cliff. All right? And you may not have been really looking at birth rates over the last 20 years or college trends over the last 20 years, but if you are in the admissions office for universities, this is something that has kept you awake at night for the last 5 to 10 years. So we know this cliff is coming, and essentially what's happening is we're not replacing people within our educational system nearly as quickly as we are retiring them.
2021, you may have heard of the Colonial Pipeline ransomware incident. It impacted their IT network systems, but they did not know the extent of that attack, and again, that visibility of their systems. So out of an abundance of caution, they ended up shutting down the entire, on the operational side. So that's what ultimately impacted a lot of the refined products, a lot of the refined products availability, going from the Gulf to the Carolinas all the way up the East Coast.
What I would like to talk today about GIS, Geospatial Intelligence, if you wish. Funny enough, I haven't heard too much today about cybersecurity and GIS, spatial intelligence, if you wish, geospatial intelligence. So this is how much money we have. And unfortunately, historically, let me put it this way, GIS started in geography department a while ago, in probably 90s. But geography is a social discipline, right? That's why lots of universities shut down geography departments. What for? I'm not a school of business. GW, for example, okay? You go there, man. Okay, School of Information Technology, wow. Geography, sociology, what are you talking about? We don't need these disciplines. And lots of universities.
Kind of smart utopia. Well, the data says yes. It's not all in one place, as you might suggest. There are certain places that they've done a great job in terms of green energy. We looked at energy producing processes, systems that speed bumps generate power for communities in some parts of the world. The speed bumps that you hate in your neighborhood are actual power generation in some places. We looked at places that were doing great from a healthcare perspective. Education. We looked at ways that people had diffused street violence. These were all in different parts of the world, but we looked at the data and assembled this kind of virtual utopia that constitutes SMART. SMART. So this upcoming season, what you'll see are cities who are a part of a pilot program where we will be conducting an assessment. This is really kind of pioneering stuff, first of its kind type of stuff, where our team will be in the field conducting assessments and educating city leadership on how they match up with this virtual utopia that is comprised of UN sustainability goals and some other things. We've pulled in, some of this stuff is really anecdotal, we're working through our model, but you guys have probably had surveys or seen things on television, the top 10 best places to live, right? You've seen that kind of stuff, right? Well, we looked at, what makes that the top 10 place to live? And so we kind of incorporated that with the UN data, and now we're—
Great. Okay, next up is a client of mine, Ms. Jean Reaver, who's the Vice President of MDE Inc., which is a Maryland-based company, woman-owned, who's done quite well.
I'm Jean Reaver, Vice President of MDE Incorporated. We're based out of Baltimore, Maryland. Also, we got clients nationwide, and I'm grateful to Bill for not only inviting me here, but for his friendship over the past 10 years, because he's been a great consultant, and just, I'll save the how we met story for later. But MDE, so we incorporated with a focus on public safety, and it's been an interesting conference hearing each one of you guys talk about, efforts to save internet hacking and leadership training and the security seal that you're developing, just everything that's protecting the clients that I serve, who are the boots on the ground, the first responders, the public safety. We incorporated in '99 with a focus on tracking training for those officers, the dispatchers, the jail facilities, parole and probation, pretty much anybody in public safety. And they're critical records, something we don't want to see get hacked. Forgive me for my back here to you. In the air. What's interesting, though, is over the past 21 years working with our clients in almost every state in the country, is hearing you guys talk, and gals, on what else we can do. I mean, the software was created to track training for our police officers. But how do you guys know your employees are compliant with the training that you've provided them? Are they doing the job that you've trained them to do? And do you have the analytics to see, like you said, the young ones are outperforming the old ones? How can you prove that? Our software has the ability to do that. So even within your own organizations, or just think outside the box. We actually had a construction company purchase our software. I'm thinking, how did that happen? But you have the flexibility to do that. Teach them, track them, and then be able to do the analytics to see who's outperforming who and or why. Thoroughly been an enjoyment, and I'm looking forward to the afternoon. My company provides software to public safety, so we're used to dealing with law enforcement, first responders, those critical to helping people and themselves. And what I found fascinating is just jumping right into the cybersecurity aspect, because there's so many, especially in what we do, the critical records that need to be kept safe and secure. And I learned a lot about helping to keep those records secure. So I think starting with that just kind of grabbed my attention, and then dealing with sustainability and other security tools that are out there to help us stay safe. I'm looking forward to learning more.
Perfect. So with this innovation and best practices, you think you can apply this that you learned today to the daily practice?
I can, yes, ma'am. I took several notes that I'm anxious to take back to my team to apply in helping not only our company but others around us to.
Okay, perfect. And would you recommend this kind of workshop to other persons that are interested and to want to improve their businesses and their practice?
I would, Alicia. I'd highly recommend. It is definitely worth the time listening to these speakers, well informed and easily listen. What's the word I'm looking for? They make it easy to listen, and you want to learn more. I highly recommend anybody come and spend the day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For coming.
We're in Afghanistan. There were a couple of suicide bombers. I remember the day that Osama bin Laden was killed. And my son came running into me and he says, Dad, it's over. It's over. I says, what are you talking about? It's over. He says, Osama bin Laden is gone. He's dead. It's over. I laughed. I says, no, it's not over. It's just beginning. It's just beginning. At least we knew who that leader was and what he was capable of. I was talking with Jean earlier today, and we were talking about COVID-19. and all the discord that's being sown throughout the country, but throughout the world. All of the misinformation that's out there.
So which way are you leading people? The right direction or the wrong direction? That's up to you every day. I want you to think about leadership traits. What traits do you think make a great leader? So lean over to a friend of yours next to you right now and just take a few moments and share with them what are traits to you that make a great leader. Take a few moments, please. You know, are you thinking of the good? Of course, you have to think of the good of the company. You have to think of good of your own life. Are you thinking for the good of the people? You're trying your best in a very difficult decision to make tough decisions, but you also have the motive that's important behind the decision you're making, right? So, I mean, we're human. Nothing works out perfectly, but we know what our motives are, right? Remember the conscience thing, to do the right thing when no one's looking? It's not always easy. It's a great question. Thank you.
So, based on your trajectory, what was the theme that impacted you the most?
Alicia, first of all, I was glad to be here. I thought I would only stay for a short time, but I was engaged and the topic started to resonate with me. I think the most important thing was the issues related to this generation going forward. How does technology, cybersecurity impact us positively and negatively? The other thing I love that came out, I'm not sure it was planned, was the difference in generations and how we respond to change. And people were talking about, well, wait, I expect my employees to be this way and that way. And we as a country, if we want to be global leaders, have to have consideration for the differences in the generations, how they communicate, how they learn, how they receive change, etc. So I love that part. And then I learned some new terminology, which I'm not going to try and repeat at this point, but geospatial, I love that. And the definition, the way he made it so visual, it's like a sandwich with many layers of information, and how that can give so much more dynamic to decisions we make, etc. But I think the most important thing was the people I met while I was here. And everybody I met is a star in their own right.
First list of lot of the areas, measures, and it was the way it passed, it went much more high quality than I was expecting, and I should appreciate all of you guys for supporting this workshop. This is the beginning of having the bigger workshop. Hopefully next year, after everything goes back a little bit better to normal situation. So anyhow, thank you, Dr. Mo, for all your investment, all your hard work, all your management. I should thank also Sean.
This comes from passion. Sean knows, Jay knows.
Yeah. You did a great leadership.
Fun, of course. Maybe Millard is the youngest one compared to us. I mean, Ben is young. But this is just a bit.
All right. Wrap this up.